I'm Christine, and I'm here with special author guest
Renee Ahdieh. Sorry, I did not know the lead in. I was like, oh crap, that's my name.
I'm here with special guest Renee Ahdieh, New York Times bestselling author of the Wrath and the Dawn duology, I was gonna say series, and A Flame in the Mist, and a story in Because You Love to Hate Me, which is also a New York Times bestselling anthology now. Did you hear?
Woohoo!
Number 6.
Christine provided the prompt. She gave me these amazing prompts.
Yeah, I wrote none of the stories.
Oh, please,
I gave you a prompt.
No,
just so that they know.
But the genesis began with her. She gave me so many cool prompts, but I knew, because I was in a serious Star Wars kick whenever she sent along these prompts. And so for this series, or this anthology rather,
yes,
we are supposed to tell a villain story. And one of the prompts that she gave me was based on Kylo Ren. And I immediately sort of like homed in on that. I was like, okay, that's the one I need to tell. And I had such a good time writing it.
I'm so glad, and it came out so good. It was so intense. I was like, wait, where's the next chapter?
I kind of felt that way too.
Yeah.
Like when I was reading, I was like, I kind of want to explore this more.
Yeah.
He's so dark and awesome.
Yeah.
And I got to create like a sci-fi fantasy world, which I've never really gotten to do.
You laid the whole groundwork for it here.
Well, I do love world building. So So today we're going to be talking writing and some of the Because You Love to Hate Me stuff.
I'm going to go through my other prompts because I thought that that'd be fun.
It was super hard to choose.
Well, this is my side of that story. So, like, I wrote all these prompts and I'm like, oh my god, this is so funny. Like, not even thinking. Renee wants to write something like dark and cool. I wrote all these comedy prompts, send them off to Amory, and she comes back like, we need some more serious prompts. I'm like, what do you mean?
These are funny.
So
they could be like
fun.
funny, serious. Come on.
Loki and prom. Teenage Loki wants to go to prom and he's trying to find a date.
Do you feel like, can you imagine him though, like in a limo with his freaking shoulder pads?
It would be
he was
so
like
much
cutting people.
fun.
Like he could never like take those awkward prom
And, like,
pictures.
you'd
You know,
have-
the corsage.
And you'd have him like doing the promposal.
Oh
you
no,
know?
exactly.
And, like,
standing
maybe-
on stairs, you know, like in a height descending order.
Or maybe he has like his staff and he like burns it into the wall like prom.
I feel like Christine should write this one. Actually, it would be hilarious.
And he just like damages the entire school gym, like carving it in.
Oh my god, what if like his date accidentally smiles at another guy and he just like smokes? Is it smoke? Smite? I don't know.
Smite you.
Smoten.
And I had, let's see, Loki tries online dating.
That was also hilarious.
Also like not dark at all.
It could be though. Again, all of these have the potential to be super dark. Like what if he's like he gets rejected enough times and then starts
he,
like I don't know, was it catfishing people.
Oh.
He could totally be online and start catfishing people.
Catfish them as Thor.
Oh
and then,
my god.
It's
oh
him
my
and
god.
not Thor.
Again, another one Christine should write.
Loki and jobs. Loki works at McDonald's and wants to turn his life around. I was stuck on Loki because
she really was. There were a lot of Loki
I had heard
words.
that you wanted to do Loki.
I do love
so
Loki
that's why
very
I
much.
used Loki.
It's because I love those like anti-heroes. I'm a big fan of anti-heroes.
Yeah,
and I was in a Loki and Kylo Ren.
Kylo Ren walks the line the same way. The same way. So then I came back with a couple other one. Loki accidentally loses his temper and kills a sibling in a game.
Yes.
Ding ding ding.
Yes.
That's the one you did. When you got that prompt, did it take a little bit to like bloom the story, or did it immediately pop into your brain?
Honestly, that was why I chose that one, because it did immediately pop into my brain. I just saw like this amazingly dark and cerebral interaction between two siblings, and I'm the first of 3.
Me too.
Yeah, oh, that's awesome. How old are you in comparison to like ours? Like 4 years and 2 years. Oh yeah.
Leaving me hang.
Oh my gosh, are you gonna hit me? What's the age gap between you and your siblings?
3.5 years with my sister, and then 8 years with my brother.
Oh wow, yeah.
right,
we're 2 and 4 basically.
Oh, you guys are all close.
Yeah, very close in age. And so like again, it doesn't even matter almost with the age thing, because Victor, my husband, he's also 8 and 9 years apart from his brothers.
Yeah.
And they still, again, you have these like really cerebral interactions where you're having this wordless conversation, even if it's like die. You know, like when you're sitting across the dinner table and somebody tells on you or somebody does something and you have no place to run to because everyone's looking at you and are like, I'm gonna get you. Or like under the table, like kicking your
Yeah.
siblings,
Yeah.
like when you're really
You
small,
just
like
know
stop
what
it.
they
Yeah.
mean by each kick too.
Exactly. Each kick has a different meaning depending on the intensity and
Like
where it lands.
very subtle differences.
So I knew that I really wanted to do that, and I loved the idea of having sort of this like darkly tortured boy in this like fantasy sci-fi world. And then I took it a step further when I was discussing with the editor of this book, the wonderful Cindy Lowe. She suggested taking it farther because I had sort of written about a matriarchal society, and she wanted me to take it even farther. So
I love that aspect of it. My other two were Gaston accidentally burns down his high school while trying to pull a senior prank and kills his best friend.
Did I see that one? I don't feel like I saw that one.
You did it?
I don't think I got Gaston. Do you even Gaston?
Yeah, these are the three other like dark ones I sent over.
Oh my god, I don't think she's. I think she I think this was. No, I don't think I got all of them.
Maybe she took it out because someone was doing Gaston and she
That's
didn't want
possible.
you to.
Yeah, that's possible.
But I said like this isn't the exact email, but I said like feel free to switch out the villain.
Yeah, no, and I think that's what happened. I am eternally really into Star Wars. It's one of the first memories I have of like watching a movie with my family. And so yeah, like all of us remember like the whole like 3 series, and me, my brother and sister were obsessed with them. So.
I have that with Harry Potter.
Oh, that
Yeah.
too. I was a little bit older for Harry Potter,
Yeah.
but I feel like that kid me. And it was like out of place too because I was growing up in like the late 80s, early 90s. So I mean these movies came out in like the 70s.
Yeah.
And so I was
already.
really super geeky.
They're eternally cool nerdy though.
Well, that's what I think.
Yeah.
That's what I told myself.
Yeah.
8-year-old me really believed that.
So for the first draft of The Wrath and the Dawn, how long did it take you to get that first draft out of you, and how many words was it?
So the first draft of The Wrath and the Dawn was probably just under 100,000 words.
Oh man, okay.
Yeah, I think the published version is probably closer to like 90, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
But Yrsa's story in The Wrath and the Dawn, actually she had a much more central role in the first draft of the book. And everyone wanted me to take that out and sort of make it a bigger part of the second book, which I actually thought was a really, really good idea. It took me about 4 months to write The Wrath and the Dawn.
Okay,
but that's fast.
Like,
that's
yeah,
fast.
you knocked that out.
Well, I think it was just because I felt such motivation. I really it's
when you're
I'm
like
almost
so passionate about the project, you don't want to come out.
I'm almost a little bit nostalgic for that time when I could write a book without any expectations on it, because it was the first book that sold for me, and I just wrote it basically because it was a story I wanted to read, and I didn't know if it was going to be anything.
How does it feel for you, like going through that first draft for the first time again? Do you enjoy it, or does it feel like you're scarring your soul reading your words the first time now that you have like distance from it?
It's heartwarming because I see also how much I've grown as a writer, and it's a little bit cringy. Like you're looking at your stuff and you're like, I wrote that? Oh God. But it's nice to be able to go back and realize that every book teaches you a different lesson. I feel like even the ones that didn't sell, the first couple of books that I wrote, they were necessary for the process. And I still feel that when I go back and look at early drafts of things that I've written. I was like, well, I'm glad I learned how to do that, and that's not an issue now. And it sort of makes me wonder, what am I learning now? Because you're sort of, you can't see the forest for the trees. Sort of stuff.
You gotta have
and
some
so you're
distance.
exactly. And then you come back and you're like, this is what this book taught me.
Yeah.
I'm working on the sequel to Flame in the Mist right now, and I would really like to know what future me thinks I'm going to be learning in this book so I can just get it over with.
How many books is The Flame in the Mist? Is it
It's
just
two.
two?
It's
Okay.
two.
You like your duologies.
I do, but I think the next series I write will probably be a little longer.
Okay,
so,
cool.
Yeah.
So like a trilogy or a series?
Like
Harry
I'm not
Potter.
sure. I'm not sure. I think I'm gonna have to sit down and really plot it out. I just
Yeah.
have the seed of an idea, and I always like when I'm writing series books because I don't necessarily want to be in a situation where someone's like, "Oh, I want you to write one more book in this series," and it not have been always a part of my
you
plan,
want to
because
know
then
it
it
from the
doesn't
beginning.
feel like organic. It feels like you're tacking something on, and I don't really want to do that. So I think I'm gonna plot it all out. But I'm thinking probably 3 or 4 books.
Nice.
So,
I love
yeah.
4. I think 4 is
I
really
like
cool.
4 too.
Yeah,
I
because
like
sometimes
4 too.
3 you just need like you rush in the third one.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, absolutely.
4 needs a 4.
Absolutely, but I think also what's really cool is the opportunity to branch out from like a very sort of centralized world, which is something I love that George R.R. Martin does. I feel like he's able to carry on these series, and also we're at Comic-Con, so like I got to talk about George R.R. Martin and that first like GOT episode. What?
Oh my god, it was so good.
I don't know
so
why I'm
good.
pointing, but what?
What?
When you're writing a series when you can branch out from something, because you have, people have to care about characters, but if you can branch out to different locations and expand the narrative with like family members, I feel like that's what really works for people, because you just don't want to follow. I mean, I don't know that I want to follow the same only 2 characters for like 5-6 books.
Yeah, and that's why it's so interesting. We have so many people in the cogs here. Like, how many drafts did The Wrath and the Dawn go through? And how many drafts did your like next few books go through after you had gotten that one?
I think typically before, because I'm one of these people, it's hard for me to pinpoint how many drafts I write, because I edit as I write.
Go,
yeah, so I'll write a scene and I won't stop myself as it's just sort of like pouring out of me onto the keyboard, and then the next day I'll go back and edit it. So I
don't really give it like a break till you.
No. Like, and I turn in typically fairly polished drafts, and then my editor and I probably go through about 3 or 4 rounds of revisions on it. Like the first edit is a global edit; it's very developmental, and I'm sorry, I know everyone's just like, I should just have like professor spectacles and push them up and stuff like that. And then you have sort of more like the character work, and then you have line edits and stuff like that. And
okay, so I can't really measure then. I'm so curious about how many drafts.
I think again, if I were to just, because I have a lot of friends who just let an entire first draft pour out of them and come back. If I probably had to guess, because of all the work I do to edit as I'm working on it, I would probably say I go through at least 3 rounds on my own before I give it to my editor. But I'm one of these people where my editor, there's literally emails from her like at 3 a.m. the day before it has to go to the printer. She's like trying to pry it from my hands. I'm like, well, but I just want it. And she's like, no, you're done. You're done. You're absolutely done. Stop messing around with it. I was like, but I think this word here might be better than this word. Because I go through and I read all of my drafts out loud, because I'm very aware, especially for me, like of the music of the story, like, and the music of the words. I'm like marching around with like this manuscript on my like iPad, and I'm reading out loud, and I'm like,
no, I tried doing that with one of my drafts, and like I just start losing my voice. I'm like, how do people do this? So who's the first person other than your husband that you gave it to read, or did you not give it to him first? Or
for which one?
We've been talking about The Wrath and the Dawn. Let's go for The Wrath and the Dawn.
Okay, all right. For The Wrath and the Dawn, I actually gave the first half of The Wrath and the Dawn to my agent first, because I was like, is this working? Is this too much? Because the first thing the thing she actually signed me off of was urban fantasy. The Wrath and the Dawn was sort of my first foray into real like historical fantasy, which is something I love to read. And then I was like, is this working? And so then she came back at me with like some feedback of what I needed to do. And she was like, and I remember the first thing out of her mouth, she's like, this is a monster. We want to make it a good monster. And I'm like, yes, that is accurate.
Sounds like a good plan.
So yeah, I gave it to my agent first, and then I gave it to some of my good friends who are readers.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
My sister, she's huge. I mean, Khalid keeps these letters that Shahrazad comes across in The Wrath and the Dawn, and the idea for the letters is actually from my sister. Because my sister and I are really big Jane Austen fans, and if you read anything Jane Austen, letters always fix and ruin things. and so she's like, you should just do a Jane Austen, have some letters. And I was like, that's a great idea.
Nice,
so I credit her with that.
Nice. What is your writing advice tip for all of these aspiring authors out there that like you don't hear all the time that you think?
Okay, I think I'm going to branch off on something that everybody says, too. Everybody says stuff about tenacity. Like, you need to push through, that this is a career of rejection. And even once you get published, that doesn't necessarily preclude you from continuing to see rejection. In fact, it's just a different sort of rejection. It's not about necessarily developing a thicker skin. It's about taking the constructive feedback and always being willing to learn and grow from it. I think that's and always be in a situation where you're giving your work to other people, not just your mom and your sister, or somebody who's going to pat you on the back, but somebody who's going to have a serious bit of feedback to give you, who will champion you, but who will also be here and be like, no, this isn't working.
Yeah, and help you when you need it.
You cannot be the judge, jury, and executioner with your work. And I know that's a dark way of, like, but you can't be that. I don't think that that's a good idea. I really think it's important to have other voices, other ideas. They just make your work so much richer.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't realize it for, like, like a week after you get the constructive criticism and let it sit, and then you're like, oh yeah, wow.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it stings. It stings for everybody.
Yeah.
Our first edit letter, I mean, like, there's actually, like, this pack that we tell other authors. Like, I remember Tessa Grattan, she was telling all these other writers, she was like, well, you get your first edit letter, do nothing with it for 3 days. Just get a thing of whiskey, ignore it for 3 days, because you're going to have this really visceral reaction. You're going to want to fire off his emails. Well, what had happened was, and what you really need to understand about this character, you need to take a step back and really
sit with it.
sit with it. Really let it marinate. And then, you know, if somebody gives you advice to change something, maybe you don't necessarily agree with the advice, but if they're telling you something isn't working, maybe you can find a way to fix it, you know, that works for you.
Yeah, there's always something there. Like, if they're talking about something, there's something that you can rethink. Thank you so much. That was really great advice.
Thank you. It was really long-winded, and I feel like it's just like a redux of other people's advice, but it works.
No, it works. Yeah, no, definitely. Because you get so defensive.
Yeah.
It's like, just sit down.
and don't read your reviews. Like, especially, like, I mean, I'm not one of these people, like, I'll occasionally go on there read because I think it's funny, and I especially love the haterade that comes from, like, the GIF-laden reviews, you know, where it's like, they're like, oh my god, what is she thinking? And it's all, like, cartoon people, like, Mushu the Dragon judging me, or something like that. And, like, that stuff is hilarious. But, I mean, I don't think it's good, especially in drafting stage, just read pure vitriol. I don't think that's a good idea. You guys should definitely read this. Christine's, like, guide afterwards, like, I was reading it really late at night, and I woke up my dog and my husband because I was snickering so loud. Like, it was like the snicker snort, you know? Like, it wasn't a good thing. But it's just hilarious. Some of the tales in here are, like, I mean, all of them are so amazing. Yeah.
Renee's is amazing, though.
Cindy Pond has one in here that's a Medusa, and it's just amazing. And it's set in, like, historical China.
If you don't know, this is a collaboration between 13 authors and 13 booktubers.
Yeah, that's a good idea. You should tell people. This entire book is me and Christine.
Every booktuber gave a prompt to an author. My prompt was given to Renee. We should go get it and read it. This has been a book writing discussion with Renee Ahdieh. Thank you guys
and
so much.
And the lovely Christine.
I'm Christine.
I'm Renee.
I'll see you next time.
I do like forget. This is so bad at it. Bye.
Bye. And just
oh shit.
When we're spinning circles like nobody sees us, that's the moment.
I did it wrong. I'm sorry. One more time.
Look. Oh my god. Why is that like?
What even is that? It's terrifying.